to have the confidence in being able to throw them all for strikes, which he's doing. The percentages could vary game to game based on the game plan and who he's facing, but that's another, kudos to him for that too, because he has changed each game a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's very impressive.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you very much for joining us. Stephen St. John with Jake Gutierrez on this Thursday, May 29th, 2025. Today on the show, we will be joined by our baseball insider from ESPN, Buster Olney. Todd Lebo's going to hang out with us in the 7 o'clock hour. That makes Jake happy, I think.
It does. It makes me really happy.
Probably.
A lot. Love Lebo.
What do you love about him?
I love his attitude. He's a very positive man.
Not always.
Well, even when he's negative, it's
I
positive
can cite
for
some
me.
examples. Like yesterday.
Even when he's positive, he makes me laugh when he's negative. So it's a positive for me. When Leo gets mad or frustrated, it's kind of funny.
Right.
I shouldn't find humor in that, but when you see somebody who's usually pretty calm and cool-headed get angry or frustrated.
I get that. Yeah. I understand.
But yes, he'll be joining us in the 7 o'clock hour, and I look forward to it. And the listeners should too. It's always a treat.
The most important question is, does Todd look forward to it?
It's not my problem.
Right. He'll be with us, and at 7:30, we'll talk to Thomas Freistad. All right.
Yeah, sounds right. I'll double check with him.
Well,
that's what it is right now.
Yeah. Or it could be Thomas Freistad, but I'll say Freistad.
Freistad, I before you.
And I'll stand corrected, and we'll give you the official pronunciation. He writes for the Kansas City Business Journal, and he had a big story yesterday that we'll talk about here just in a few minutes about a Royals affiliate buying the mortgage loan backed by the Overland Park Asperia campus. And so that began a chain of reaction yesterday, as hopefully at some point, because a lot of people ask me this, and over the course of the last several months, it seems like the answer has changed quite a bit. But I'll tell you that many people from many walks of life, I get a chance to cross paths with a wide variety of people, because I'm lucky enough, I'm blessed enough to be involved in many charity events, covering events for Sports Radio 810, just being all over town, going to my daughter's high school events, my son's bands, musical events, and concerts and things like that. And the most often asked question is, hey, what's Jake really like? Does he drink his own urine? I don't believe that, but maybe I do. Then when we get through that, people will ask me, hey, where the stadium's going to be. And I sometimes will give them a puzzled look, because this has been a story that has been long and drawn out, that's taken twists and turns. And over the course of the last several months, we know the usual suspects, but it's almost been like watching an exciting horse race that will never, ever end. Look, they're in the lead. They might be pulling away. No, they're in the lead. Oh, here comes this location. And I think there's a lot of people out there that wish the race would just end. You know, it's fun going to the grocery store and shopping for all the ingredients for your dinner. It is. I like it. It's therapeutic for me to go to the grocery store and shop. I enjoy it. But at some point, you get tired of shopping for the ingredients and choosing what you're going to cook. At some point, you just want to eat. At some point, you want the food put in front of you and say, chow down, brother. And I'll speak for myself, but I've talked to enough people that I think feel the same way. We're tired of the process now. At times, a mind-boggling process. We just want to eat. We just want the plate of food put in front of us. Hey, here's where the stadiums are going to be. Get ready for it. Get used to it. Am I wrong, Jake? Or do you want this process to continue?
I like
and
to draw it out a little longer.
And to listen to more of the politics and
some more
and
articles
the dealings
written.
and all these, yes.
Yeah. And some more star bonds issued and more politicians speaking.
Right.
If we could get more of that in my sports talk.
Over and over
Right.
and over. And look, some of it's very interesting.
Some
of it's fascinating. Some of it's educational. Some of it goes over my head.
Most of it goes over my head.
You know, I'll talk to Lebo, and even Lebo's like, well, I'm not real sure about that, but this is what I think. At the end of the day, we're all sports fans that either work here or that listen to the show. We all care about the Royals and the Chiefs. I think we can all agree across the board that our desire is for them to stay in this community. I know there's some people that stomp their feet and they're digging in like, no, they got to stay in Missouri. Or no, they got to go to Kansas. But big picture, they got to stay in the Kansas City area. That's what they got to do.
And the most important part is probably that's not really a threat.
Right.
I mean, that is the main point. I think it's like which side of the state line are they going to be
And
on?
so we'll get more to that. Well, you know what? We'll just do that now. We'll talk about the Royals and another fabulous start from Noah Cameron. Jack Caglione getting back on track with 3 hits as soon as I leave Omaha. He gets
Funny how that happens.
red hot again
Boddicker called it.
without the weight of my stare from right behind home plate. It's like, oh, this guy has so many questions at the press conference.
Well, he put his phone down.
Well, hopefully he'll be up in the press box or back in Kansas City. Oh my God, he's right behind home plate. He's recording my every move. Good God.
If he would just leave, I could put 3 hits together.
I can't wait to go play for the Royals, but I wish they'd figure out where the stadium's going to be. I can't stand thinking about this anymore. It's distracting me. Strike 3. Oh.
It's that guy's fault.
So we'll talk about that. And congrats to Oklahoma City for advancing to the NBA Finals.
Right. That was not even worth watching.
Great game. Great series. We'll remember it for...
30-point blowout.
We'll remember it for 25 minutes.
And
So-
now a week off.
Here's how this went down. Here's what happened. So Kansas City Business Journal, and like I said, we'll talk to Thomas Freistad, who wrote this article at around 7:30. And I'll just give you a couple of the finer points. The property owner, Occidental Management, Inc., based in Wichita, according to this story, told investors that this transaction happened without its knowledge or support, potentially teeing up complications for future stadium plans. The Royals released a statement and said they continue to explore all options for a new stadium in the community. A spokesperson said that the team has not yet decided on the site and that any assertion to the contrary is inaccurate. A $232.5 million JP Morgan Chase loan secured by the 207-acre former Sprint campus, a Superior campus, at 119th Street in Knoll, sold on May 9th for roughly $164 million. According to the most recent loan servicer report from KeyBank. The monthly loan report did not name the buyer, but Kansas City Business Journal learned that the debt sold to an entity called 119 Real Estate Holdings, LLC, that was formed April 24th in Kansas and Delaware. Ownership details were not listed in business filings. Its Kansas registration was signed by an attorney with Stinson, LLP, which last year lobbied Kansas lawmakers on the Royals' behalf to pass tweaked sales tax revenue star bonds for stadium projects. And so this also happened. This loan purchase comes days before Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe debuted his state's incentive plan. And then, of course, Tuesday announced that they're going to have a special session revisiting the plan starting Monday. Occidental declined to comment for this story. And so the Royals swooped in and they bought the debt. And now they're the bank. And from what I've been told, Occidental felt like they were going to get an extension before this August payment was due. They thought perhaps that they could make a deal with the bank. Royals swooped in and they make the deal. And as the article at Kansas City Business Journal says, this caught them by surprise, caught Occidental by surprise. And I'm going to guess they weren't thrilled with it. And so, look, best case scenario for everyone involved here is they come to the table and they work out a deal between the Royals, the extension of the Royals. This is where you start to get into the funny business, right?
Affiliate.
The Royals affiliate. Whatever that means. Right. Right. For both sides, it would make sense for both sides to come to a deal. So this starts to make its way around social media, and my phone's buzzing, everyone's phone's buzzing. The Royals released a statement. I'll just read the statement from the Royals. The Kansas City Royals continue to explore all options throughout our community to develop a new stadium for the team. We have not yet decided on a site, and any assertion to the contrary is inaccurate. As part of our ongoing efforts, we have negotiated with or made investments in multiple potential sites, both in Missouri and in Kansas. One of these investments was the acquisition by an affiliate of the Royals of the mortgage on the Superior campus through an arm's-length bidding process. So there you have the Royals in a statement telling you that through an affiliate, they acquired the mortgage on the Superior campus through an arm's-length bidding process. Now here the statement continues. As evidenced by stadium development plans across the country, these are complex, time-consuming processes that involve a variety of considerations. We are evaluating multiple options at the same time. In fact, in the weeks since we purchased the mortgage, we have continued to work through a strategic, diligent, and focused process in both states to ensure we can reach the best decision. We remain committed to finding a generational home for the Kansas City Royals that our fans, our team, our partners and associates, and our regional community can enjoy for decades to come, and that's in the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. And so what this does is this a done deal? No, there's still obstacles. But this does create a path for the Royals to potentially have their stadium out here at the site at the Asperia campus. But there are roadblocks, there are obstacles they would have to clear. But again, if you're like looking at this as a race, it puts the 119th site in the driver's seat. But it ain't over, because I can tell you that I had someone tell me, hey, and this makes sense too, they're going to use this as leverage against the state of Missouri. And why wouldn't they?
Well, it's the first thing that crossed my mind.
And I was also told by someone who is close to the situation and understands the situation far better than most, the timing of the leak is no coincidence. You find out about the governor's special session on Monday, and then this happens to leak. That was not a coincidence. And so we'll talk to the gentleman that wrote the article for Kansas City Business Journal at 7:30 and just say, hey, give us the nuts and bolts of this deal. What does it mean? And what's next? Because, again, I go back to speaking from the perspective of somebody who's grown up in Kansas City, loves the Royals, loves the Chiefs, and is excited to know where they're going to play, where they're going to be. And you can, when I read the statement from the Royals, they know that this thing is dragging out and there's fatigue out there and people are getting tired of this, because they address that. And I think that most people feel that way, like, just get to the end here. Figure it out. Enough. How long are we going to do this? Because the Royals, in their statement, say these are complex, time-consuming processes that involve a variety of considerations. Yes, it is complex. It is time-consuming. And most people in this town have had enough of it. Whether you want the team to stay in Missouri or you want them to go to North Kansas City, or you want them to go out by the Speedway, or you want them to go on 119th at the Asperia campus, I think we're all to the point where we just want it to get done. One of my dad's favorite sayings: you got a blank, get off the pot. Figure it out. I think it fits pretty well here. So, but I think it's just, it's important, if you're trying to sum things up, to understand that by the Royals doing what they did, or the affiliate of the Royals, Jake, the affiliate of the Royals, acquiring the mortgage on the Asperia campus, that clears a path, creates a path for the site to be on the Asperia campus. But there are still obstacles, but it puts them in the driver's seat. You feel like they're in the lead now. But then guess what on Monday? special session in Missouri. But this also creates a tremendous amount of leverage for the Royals. Because also they got to find the best deal that they possibly can, because this is going to be a long-term thing. And look, if you put aside the anger that you have about whether they're in Missouri or Kansas, I think we all, again, can agree you want the Royals to get the best deal possible to where they're happy and they're here and that's it. Wherever they are, we want them to be there. As they call it, a generational decision. Nobody, I mean, I shouldn't say nobody. I'm sure there's some people out there, I want them to leave. Nobody wants the Royals to leave this community, Kansas City. And yes, I live in Missouri, but I love going to Legends. I love going to Kansas Speedway. I work out here off 121st and Metcalf. I grew up in Northeast, which is real close to downtown KCMO. I spent a lot of time in North Kansas City and love the idea of the stadium there. I love Kansas City. And I see the good and bad from all these different sites. But as long as they stay, and as long as they're at one of them, I'll figure out a way to be happy. And so I think you probably feel the same way, Jake. I don't want to speak for you. I like speaking for you, but I won't hear.
You usually do a pretty good job
Well,
speaking
thank you.
for me. I appreciate it.
Thank
no,
you.
absolutely. I echo the sentiment. I mean, selfishly, if I'm being honest, I don't want them in Overland Park.
Well, look, and here's the other thing.
I mean, if I'm...
But I'm just going to tell you this. There's a lot of people that live in the area of the Aspiria campus that don't want them either.
I mean, I drive down. I live 10 minutes from here. I live 10 minutes from the Aspirian campus. I do a lot of shopping around that area. I frequent Joe's KC over there. I mean, there's a lot of, and I don't want 50,000 more people, 40,000 more people here, 81 times.
Brother, there's a bunch of people that live out in this area that don't want it either.
But hey, guess what?
Yeah.
I'm not making decisions. I think, as you stated clearly, I would just like to know if it's happening or
But
not.
there's a lot of things in this town that ideas that met with tremendous resistance that ended up happening.
Yeah.
And we've moved on.
Yeah. And it's not like I am going to be pissed off if it happens. Look, if I have a choice, I want a downtown ballpark.
And look, for me, hey, from where I live, North Kansas City location, that'd be great.
Yeah.
You know what else is really convenient for me? That's 14 minutes from my door and an easy drive in and out? Legends.
Right? Yeah.
That area in KCK, if you want to talk about the most convenient between North Kansas City and Legends, that's about the same for me. In and out, nice drive, let's go. Why would it be convenient for me out here? I work right down the street.
Yep.
That'd be pretty good to cover the Royals if they're right there.
Yeah.
You know, I could be like Nate Buchanan and ride I'll never do it, but I could ride a bicycle right over there.
If the option was available.
Yeah, but I will not make it available. I'm just saying, I'm just an example to describe the distance.
Theory.
Right.
In
Yeah.
theory. We're talking about theory.
In theory. I can see Nate
Theoretically.
ride a bicycle down there. I'm not.
Right.
Right?
But you could.
Guess what the least convenient is? Where it's at right now.
Yeah.
But I that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
look.
I feel fairly confident that the Royals won't be.
Well, they ain't going to be there.
Right. Yeah.
That's done.
There
We
you
know
go.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
So here's all those are the details. That's where we're at right now, and we'll get more details and try to give a good explanation to where at least people can have a working knowledge of what the hell's going on. And that's the other thing. Not everybody has time to sit there and read through all this and figure out what's going on. And a lot of people just want to know, give me the nuts and bolts.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? What's a timeline? When can we expect something to actually happen? Instead of all the grab-assery. Maybe that's not the correct word, but I like to say it.
Hey, it fits.
Okay? It's my show. I'll say it.
I have the microphone.
All right? So there. We'll revisit this at 7:30 and give you more details. And then you feel how you want to feel. And guess what? However way you feel, it ain't wrong because that's how you feel.
That's right. That's right.
But you also can't stick your head in the sand and ignore what's happening. And so we'll hopefully be able to explain it and have this gentleman that wrote the article, Thomas Frystad, on the show at 7:30.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yes, I will. I am too.
I mean, for me, it feels. I mean, it doesn't feel like it. It appears that it's just there's a lot of posturing going on.
Well, yes, but again,
and that's just like, okay.
This creates a tremendous amount of leverage for the Royals.
Yes. And why wouldn't you do that?
And this right now appears to put the Asperia campus location in the driver's seat. This creates a path for this to happen. But it ain't done, and there's still obstacles that need to be cleared.
Yeah.
But it's more likely now than it was a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely. Anybody tells you they know for sure what's going to happen is wrong because those decisions just haven't been made.
Well, you're guessing.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
People can lean one way or another.
Yes.
But I'm just gonna tell you this: it ain't over till it's over. It ain't done till it's done, and hopefully we'll get there at some point soon.
Maybe
not.
Right.
We'll take a break. Back after this on WHP. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. So the Royals were able to avoid the sweep. This is now the second series in a row where they've had to win the third game to avoid the sweep. They did it against
Royals, huh?
the Twins, and now they do it against the Reds. They win 3-2 last night at Kauffman Stadium. And the story is Noah Cameron, because he pitched so well again. 6 in the third innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. His ERA is a minuscule 1.05. And this is a tremendous stat that I absolutely love because of my grandfather, Danny Ontiveros, his love of Fernando Valenzuela. I've told that story before. When Fernando Mania hit the nation, that was right in the, probably my favorite memories of watching baseball with my grandfather, when I really started to understand the sport and would spend time watching games with him. And so Fernando Valenzuela will always be one of my favorites because, my grandfather was from Mexico and loved Fernando, and everyone loved watching him pitch, and it was crazy when he burst on the scene with the Dodgers. So listen to this stat. Noah Cameron is the second left-hander in Major League Baseball's modern era to pitch at least 6 innings while allowing no more than 1 run in each of his first 4 career starts. The other was Fernando Valenzuela in 1981. And that's wild. I mean, that's crazy. And so look, you can't send him back to Omaha. Lugo's coming back. Reagans is on his way back. And yes, we have had Scott Sharp on the show, and I asked him specifically a couple of weeks ago about the possibility of going to a 6-man rotation for a period of time. And there's many reasons to do it, including, keeping tabs on the innings pitched for Chris Bubich, trying to keep these guys healthy, having 6 good starting pitchers that you want to utilize. And so he said that is certainly something that they are discussing. You could also put Michael Lorenzen in the bullpen. He's pitched as a reliever before. And you can give a spot to Noah Cameron. But in my opinion, what you can't do is send him back to Omaha. It's just, that's 4 starts now. He's not giving up anything. His first 4 starts now being compared to Fernando Valenzuela in 1981. And so Seth Lugo, according to Andy Rogers, is set to be activated from the IL, and he's going to start Friday's game against Detroit, according to Matt Quachero. And then they go with Waka on Saturday and Bubich on Sunday. Cole Reagans is hopefully going to make a rehab start this weekend, so he's not far behind. And so when Lugo comes back, you don't have to make a decision. But when Reagans comes back, you got to make a decision. And Noah Cameron is forcing you to keep him in the rotation. right? Like that can't even be like on the table to send him back. He's too damn good. This is what Scott Sharp said on the show a couple of weeks ago when I asked him about the six-man rotation. Maybe a six-man rotation is a way to get Noah Cameron up there and maybe have less of a load on the rest of the starting pitchers. And so I asked Jamie Bloom about it. He loved the idea. I asked Mike Boddicker about it, and he essentially called me a moron. And so that's basically where we are, and I don't know which is true. Is that just something that's never under consideration? When you hear someone suggest that, hey, that's a good thing. That means you got six really good starting pitchers, but I'm just curious how ridiculous of an idea that is.
Well, I like that you got the full spectrum of response. And I do that often myself. I'm like, hey, I'm going to say something here, and this might sound really stupid, but I at least want to vocalize it. I don't think it's a dumb idea at all because a lot of the things that you mentioned, one, Chris Bubich, trying to figure out how, you're going to sort of modify his workload. I mean, he's thrown 60 innings already, and, we're three-quarters of the way through the month of May. Some guys have gotten nicked up. It's a balance, right? Because there's a push and pull with all of this. You add a guy to the rotation who pitches every fifth or sixth day in this case. You're removing a guy from the bullpen, which adds, more innings and more stress to the guys in the bullpen. So, it is a balance. You can do it for a period of time, I believe, and then, you got to give a little bit more reserve back to the bullpen so that they don't get stressed. But I do think, there are teams that have done it. There are teams that came out, I want to say it was Seattle, the beginning of the year, that ran a six-man. Recently we've really used the off day as the sixth starter. We've gotten a lot of off days recently. So that off day, pushes every starter back and gives them an extra day's rest. That's another component, a variable, is if you insert an actual pitcher in there and have six pitchers, and then, we're getting into this run of almost an off day a week. Now there are a lot of guys on 7 days, which makes, a little bit of a concern of too much rest in between starts. So, we're constantly looking at, how the rotation lines up, the balance, getting guys extra days rest, but making sure they stay sharp. It is a really good idea, and it is one that we have discussed, and, it would not surprise me if we did that for a period of time.
So and this was, what was the date on that?
5/21.
So 8 days ago, and there you heard at the end say he would not be surprised if they did that for a period of time. So then that'll buy you some more time. And these things have a way of working themselves out. Whether another pitcher might need to go on the IL or Lorenzen continues to struggle, maybe Cameron comes back down or whatever. There's a lot of different things that could happen. But that, if once Lugo and Reagans come back, then they can go to a six-man rotation for a couple of weeks. That'll buy them some more time, and then we'll see where they're at. But, and this is no revelation, but if Noah Cameron continues to give up one or no runs every start, he's got to stay. And then let everything else work itself out. St. Joseph, Missouri, Noah Cameron. Just dealing every start. Party on the belt, dude. Meet me at Taco John's. We'll take a break. Back after this on WHB. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk to Buster Olney coming up just after 7 o'clock. John Rave got his first hit last night, Jake.
Hell of a hit, too.
Can we hear from John Rave?
Yeah.
Can we rave about John?
We can rave about him. We can go crazy.
One guy sent me a message and wanted to send it back down because he started 0 for 6.
Well,
That's a quick hook.
I was going to say that's not very patient.
Man. I mean, seriously.
Wow.
That's a quick hook. Nope. No, I'm good. Like, okay. I'm going to give him a little bit more time, but that's fine. Here's John Rave last night after the game.
Sure, that was a weight off your shoulders getting your first hit there.
Yeah, definitely weight off the shoulders. More importantly, was just happy to contribute to a win and time to go.
And you're all cleaned off from whatever they poured on you there in the shower.
Yeah, just had to take a shower. It's always fun, I'm excited to get the shower out of the way, and now just ready to play baseball.
It's a tough pitcher to face. Can you describe what you saw? A couple of good plate appearances for you too, just from Green and your approach against him.
Yeah, I mean, going into it, knew he had a good fastball, so just trying to stay on fastball timing and react to his off speed, and was able to get a pitch middle in and get my hands to it, and yeah, it was exciting.
Can you describe the moment seeing your teammates pretty much halfway out the dugout celebrating for you?
It was probably the loudest roar I've heard in playing sports, so that was pretty cool from the fans, and then just giving the little double signal or hit signal to my teammates was something special, and it was cool seeing that they were all pumped up for me as well.
Have you received the baseball yet?
Not that I know of. I knew it got thrown in, so excited to look at it, but more importantly, happy we got the win.
You got a special place for that? You're going to give it to someone? You're going to keep it? What will it be?
It'll be probably between my mom's house and wherever my wife and I are staying at the time. We're a little bit nomadic right now, but we're renting a house in Arizona right now, so maybe it'll be there for a little bit.
Were you thinking too out of the box on that?
Yeah, I think speed's part of my game, so saw I hit it a little bit down the line, knew he had to run to his left and make a play, so yeah, I was digging out of the box for sure.
You've seen Noah Cameron quite a bit in AAA. What did you make of just his performance and what he's been doing at the big league level?
Yeah, I mean, he makes it easy to play defense behind him, commands his stuff in the zone, never seems like he's fazed by anything. I played behind him a lot, and he does a lot of that, so nothing new to me, and yeah, he's going to be a stud.
Is there anything different that you've seen just this start versus what you saw in AAA with him?
It's kind of much of the same, it commands his fastball, plays his off-speed off of it, has a really good changeup. And he goes deep into the game, gives the bullpen a little bit of a rest, and yeah, did it again tonight.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
So that was John Rave. Hustle double, first hit. I like it. Also, if you're wondering last night, like I was, why aren't they going to Lucas Erceg? Where's Erceg? What's going on right now? There was a wild speculation as to why he wasn't being put in the game. Andy Rogers posted that Lucas Erceg is dealing with an illness that made him unavailable. That's what Matt Quatrero said. And look, I don't want anyone to be sick, but give me illness for Lucas Erceg versus, you know what? His shoulder didn't feel right. You know what? A little, he tweaked his elbow. Hey, his forearm, a little tightness in the forearm. No, none of that. Illness. He's got the poops. Any of that stuff, that's fine. That'll clear up. I'm sorry. You don't need that visual when you're getting ready for work or getting ready to enjoy a delicious breakfast. But don't, we all go through it. I feel like that's been going around lately. I mean, think about it. You don't even want to go into the office if you have the runs. You think you want to go into a tight game in the 8th inning? No. So hopefully Lucas Erceg will be good and healthy, because let me tell you something, brother. the Detroit Tigers are next. And it's time for the Royals to do some work. All right? The time is now. The Royals are 30-27. 7 games behind Detroit. Detroit's 37-20. They've won 4 in a row. So the road starts now. Because it's going to take a while to catch up to Detroit if they can. Because they're really, really good. We'll talk to Buster about it. Buster had an article where he broke down how over the last 100 games, the Tigers have the best record in baseball, dating back to last year, and why it's not a fluke, and what they did, what they've done to become one of the best teams in baseball. So you just get yourself ready, because Detroit's coming to town. It'd be real nice if the Royals can make a statement, win that series. Lugo coming back on Friday to face Detroit. So let's go. Buster only after this right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.